So Pierre is not going to join today. He is in New York or New Jersey at SBC Americas, as probably 60-70% of the industry right now. So he's asked me to run the room. Nico is going to join us in a second with the weekly wrap-up. But yeah, for now, I'm on my own. Feels stressful. I haven't done it in a while, I have to be honest.
I've got your back, don't worry.
Thank you. How are you, Katie? Did you not go to the conference?
No, I did not. But it looks like you say, like a lot of people are there. Expectations are high, and it's going to be really fun to see. And then there's a lot of people in Barcelona soon as well. Or is that next week?
That's next week. Yes, it was starting on Monday. I was going to go. I actually didn't go to SBC because I was going to go to WGS, but I canceled this one as well now because, with the new variant and there's just travel restrictions coming out of nowhere. And I was going to come back and be the next day going with my child to this Santa Claus town called Lapland in UK. And I just couldn't afford to be put on 3 days quarantine as soon as I'm back from Barcelona. And nobody knows how it's going to develop because they're talking about 8 days quarantine and potentially blocking some more countries. So it's quite tricky to plan your travel all over again. And then there's also this element of there's just so many events. I spoke to someone at the awards last week saying, for the last 3 months, I've been coming back from an event on Sunday and leaving again on Wednesday because it just accumulated in such a short space of time. So I think people are actually quite looking forward to January, February without, February ice, but towards the end from what I remember. So they're looking forward to a break from networking and all the events that we've been waiting for.
It's crazy. I just hope nothing happens, so we can still have ice. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. That can't be cancelled.
Yeah, it has come up in conversations that nobody knows really because the new variant is so new, and it could be that it's just gonna go quiet and be like Delta, but it could be that it won't. So I guess it's after Christmas where we find out, because I feel in UK if they put some more restrictions in place right now or cancelled Christmas, literally, London would get on fire. People would not stand for it. So I don't think anybody's going to risk it. But after Christmas, everything is in play. I'm suspecting there will be restrictions and some sort of lockdown, which would obviously could roll into ice. So I'm not as confident about ice as I was 2 weeks ago, I would say.
I'm really, that's the only thing I'm looking forward to right now. More than Christmas and New Year's even. I just want to get back to ice. But anyway, good morning, Nico.
Good morning, Nico. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning to you as well. And just picking up the topic which you just touched on. In 2 weeks, there will be the SBC Awards and as in London. And as of now, I don't even know if I can travel over to London without any restrictions. Of course, we need to take a PCR test 2 days after we just touch down.
There are restrictions, Nico. I don't know why not many people know about it, but it's not. Maybe it's not communicated, but it's not just a PCR test. It's 3 days isolation, because you can only take the PCR test on day 2. You cannot get it at the airport, and you can only leave the quarantine when you have a negative test, which means a 3rd day after. So for every travel to London, you need to add 3 days at this moment.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is the restrictions now, but who knows what actually changes within the next 2 weeks. So fingers crossed it will stay this way, because then I can actually travel over to London.
From experience, the restrictions, they don't change that fast. They like to put more restrictions on, but they just don't remove them that fast when they put PCR tests in place or whatever. And at the end of the day, the PCR test is also a massive industry. So once someone gets hold of it, so they don't usually remove them within 1 week or 2. I mean, each one of those tests is £100. So I think there are people happy about these things being put in place every time. Morning, Ralph, Lisbeth, would you like to come and join us on stage? I'll invite you to speakers as well. We have a small group today because I think people are at the event, so the more the merrier. Easier to run the session and where there is some more people chiming in. Lisbeth is still on mute. Right.
Yes,
yeah.
no,
Hi.
I'm here. Thanks for inviting. Yes, I guess people are in New York at the moment, right? In different time zone.
They are, but we just sort of talked to Pierre and we didn't know whether we should cancel the today's event or not. But as not everybody is New York, and we've managed to do it almost every week of the last year, a part of iGaming next week, where all of us were just getting ready to get on stage. So let's do it. I think I'll pass it over to Nico to start with the roundup of last week's events, and then we can choose a couple of subjects to zoom in and see what people want to talk about.
Okay, perfect. So back to the regular. On the breaking news, Scientific Games, they have completed the acquisition of ELK Studios, so the Swedish game developer ELK Studios or ELK Studios has been acquired by Scientific Games, and the gaming solution giant will now roll out ELK's content in the North American market, as well as continuing to strengthen its position in the UK and in Europe as well. Terms of the deal have not been disclosed, but I'm pretty sure we will just zoom in on this topic, as we did for the last couple of weeks. I'm pretty sure we can directly zoom in into this topic. So, Karolina, if you want to take over, and then I will just continue with the wrap up.
Of course, I can add a comment. It's been a talking point yesterday for sure. Scientific Games seems to be on a shopping spree. First sort of selling stuff, then buying. They completed acquisition of Authentic Gaming a couple of weeks ago. Now Elk. There is a lot of rumors that they've been in the running for a couple of studios that have sold recently, including the big ones. So finally, they win one of these races. I think it's a great buy. I mean, Elk is a great studio. The sort of price ranges I've been hearing from gossip yesterday are around 100 million mark. Of course, these are just rumors and no one will confirm. But I think it's a race from many different interested parties to get the slot studio. As I have mentioned previously, I get inquiries probably once a week of whether I know which studios are up for sale or for sort of majority investment. Seems there is this trend within the industry where aggregators want to have strong portfolio of first-party content, obviously to cut out the middleman fees and not just make money on their platform fees, especially that platform fees are increasingly not flying with operators, and there is a lot of aggregators taking the strategy to cut out the platform fees and put the load more onto the content provider. But I think, strengthening your first party content is a big strategy right now, so that you can control, the pricing points and be the negotiating party with operators. I love Elk. I mean, I love the people behind it. They've been doing well for good, couple of years now. They are very popular content in the Nordics, very innovative. The founder is a great guy. So I think it's generally a great buy. I'm happy to see Scientific land in one of those deals. And what else I can say? It's for sure going to bring Elk to the US in a much easier way that it would have been if they were trying to do this on their own. In terms of pricing, I can't comment. I know that someone said that they were doing around 3 million EBD a year. So whoever is the smartest brain here on calculating multipliers and valuation assessment maybe can chime in, but that's not me. But happy news. Yeah, well done, Elk. Well done, Sci-Fi. Scientific has now pretty strong portfolio of first party plus live dealer. So they're definitely strengthening their position from where they've been a couple of years ago.
So if anyone else just wants to give his insights or his views on all the topics we're discussing, please just flash your mic, and then, of course, we will just hand over to each and everyone who just wants to zoom in onto a specific topic.
I might call out Raf, because just to comment on what's happening. Is this the strategy from, what do you think, if this is the strategy from aggregators to to just swoop all the small studios off the market? Why, we're seeing this from every side, and it's an interesting trend, but do you have any insight on why do you think this is happening? He doesn't seem like he even has sound connected, to be honest, or he's struggling. I think it might be his first time here pulled up to stage, so I'll leave him off the hook. Yeah, Nico, feel free to move on. If someone wants to come back to the subject later, I'm happy to revisit.
Okay, perfect. So, during another summit, which also happens in the US, the DraftKings CEO talked about the New York tax and overseas deals, which might unlikely to happen in the near future for DraftKings. So, based on the 51% tax rate. DraftKings was one of the 9 operators which recently recommended for mobile licenses in the state of New York, and the right to take bets in one of the country's most populous states actually comes with a price tag of 51% tax on revenues. This is higher than in any other jurisdiction, especially in the US. If you just compare it to Arizona, for example, the tax rate on revenues in Arizona is 8%. So some have publicly doubted whether any operator will be able to turn any profit in New York. And Robbins actually said quite the opposite, comparing it to Australia, because Australia is on a 43% tax rate. 1 second. Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, I was just asking my husband not to talk to me because I'm on air. Sorry.
All good. So Australia is on a 43% tax rate, and it's one of the most profitable countries for a lot of operators out there. So, of course, a tax rate of plus 40%, first of all, seems like an obstacle, but Australia is indeed one of the most profitable countries out there. And based on M&A activities of DraftKings, he stated that overseas deals are unlikely in the near future, in the near term or the near future, especially as earlier this year, DraftKings made a bid for Entain valued $22.6 billion, whose portfolio also includes Europe-focused gaming brands like Ladbrokes, Coral, and bwin. So if the acquisition would have gone through, of course, DraftKings would have already had a big footstep in the European market. But as of now, he stated, so Robin stated that probably not high, or DraftKings is not aiming to acquire anywhere outside the US, probably not high, but you never know within our vibrant industry. Anyone wants to step in onto the DraftKings CEO talks and possible acquisition targets for DraftKings?
And Jeffrey has just disappeared, so you don't have to be scared.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to say earlier, sorry, my mic wasn't quite working. Yeah, I mean, I can't comment on any specific aggregator strategy, but it does seem that SG is swooping up all the small players and binding them with exclusive terms very early and taking a large, a lot of these smaller studios. I mean, Elk is by no means small. But it does seem to be the strategy. Personally, I love Elk. Their games are great. I think they're great content. They're greatly appreciated by the community, and their innovations are good. But yeah, other than that, I can't really comment on the general market trend that seems to be happening. Yeah.
Thanks, Ralph. Yeah, the exclusivity, I think it is a differentiator for the operators these days, especially in the US, where there's not that many companies with their own PAM, so platforms and wallets. So they do have to go through providers of PAM, which quite often are aggregators as well. And it seems that exclusivity of certain content is what's going to be a differentiator for these platforms in the future. So I think that all these acquisitions are all about the US and not so much about Europe. So about future opportunities rather than about now. I can't comment on DraftKings. Totally not my area of expertise. So maybe someone else can take that one.
Okay,
Nope.
so then we will just head over to literally astonishing, hilarious numbers being reported from US states as well, touching down at Virginia. So just the sportsbook handle for October was $427 million just for October. And just remember that Virginia has just launched Sportsbook since January 2021. So the Virginia sports betting volume has reached a new record with 427 in wagers for October, and they easily broke the previous record, which they've set in March, valued $304 million just in handling, and just outperforming this one with more than 40% just shows how strong the market in Virginia actually is. So the overall and new total has made Virginia the quickest state in the US history to reach $2 billion in lifetime wages. And this is just crazy. Just imagine what will actually happen as soon as the state of New York will open up the door. Heading over to Colorado, because Colorado sportsbooks also generate a volume of roughly and nearly $500 million in handle just for October. And as you can see, the numbers we are seeing from the US and US premises are just crazy. And we are specifically eyeing for the well-anticipated numbers for the upcoming Super Bowl. So watch out for the numbers which will be distributed for the month of February, when even New York will be available as well. And Nevada also smashed a handle record with 1.1 billion in wagers also just for October. So the numbers we're seeing from US premises, especially for sports betting, are just crazy. And just remember, although Nevada seems to be the home state of gaming and gambling, of course, slots and casinos are even higher than the sports books. But just New Jersey has wagered, and this is what we spoke last week, 1.3 billion in wagers. So New Jersey, pretty close, just crossing George Washington Bridge and head over to the island of Manhattan. Then we can just estimate what numbers we will be seeing for sports betting and wagers and handling as soon as the state of New York enters. Although this is not your home turf, Katie, do you want to comment on any of the numbers we are seeing and being distributed from the US?
No, I mean, it's just very amazing numbers. This is what I've been focusing on this week as well. As you know, everyone's just breaking these records in October, and it's amazing to see. And like you mentioned before, when you talked about DraftKings in Australia and everything, you know, people are doubting New York because of the tax rate, but I really, really think it will blow everyone's mind of how well this industry will go once we see Super Bowl and how much people will bet. It will be crazy, and then we will see a lot of investments, I think, in this industry. So it's interesting.
And for sure, as you have mentioned either last week or the week before last week, it ain't just all about Super Bowl, it's also about college sports. So for sure, college sports is one of the revenue drivers for each and every sports betting state in the US. So it will be thrilling to see what actual numbers we will be seeing from the overall premises in the.
Do you have any information yet if college sports betting is going to be legal in New York?
This has not yet been distributed, so I know for sure that this has been put as out there as a vote. If college sports betting will be available or still be available in New Jersey, and this one had been declined, but I've not yet seen that college sports and college sports wagering is at risk in the state of New York yet. But as soon as as soon as there will be any news flying around, for sure I will share them.
Awesome, thank you.
You're more than welcome. So heading over to M&A. As already been mentioned in the breaking news, and thanks to Karolina and Ralph for zooming in to the Scientific Games acquisition of Swedish-based Pelc Studios. Of course, we've seen other acquisitions as well as BetConnect. They closed a funding round and appointed Robin Chabra, the former boss of Fox Bet, as their advisor. So the sports betting platform of BetConnect, they have secured a funding from a number of very well-known industry figures, including the official announced advisor and former Fox Bet boss, Robin Chabra. So the funding will allow BetConnect to expand in the UK and internationally, pursuing its 12-month technology growth plan. And as we have discussed and zoomed in quite often, it's either about the content you provide or the technology you have, which is one of the requirements to actually start a nice and decent business. So the overall investors include Tom Waterhouse, the CIO of Waterhouse Venture Capital, and as said, and former Fox Sport advisor and Grand Parade founder Andy Clerkson, and as said, the Foxbet CEO Robin Chabra as well. The seeding round or the volume has not been officially disclosed, but for sure we will see numbers flying around. Then also the IG Group is about to sell US assets to Crypto.com. So the binary options and foreign trading business IG Group is about to sell its North American derivatives exchange, NADEX, business and its 39% stake in Small Exchange to Crypto.com. The overall volume is volumed as $216 million in cash and the deal should go ahead within a couple of days. Then we've seen another Nasdaq debut with Courier Online. So Courier Online has completed its merger with a special purpose acquisition company, so another SPAC spec, based on the DD3 acquisition Corp 2. And the overall volume is that Courier Online will receive gross proceeds of around $116 million or 103 million after all transaction related expenses are included. So for sure, we see another big company filling up their topics. So for sure, there will be further M&A activities based on the money which Courier Online just gained. Then another big news, as Entain sold BetDuck back to Dermot Desmond. So Entain has confirmed the sale of their online betting exchange BetDuck to their former owner and Irish-based Dermot Desmond, also for an undisclosed fee. So the FTSE 100 gambling group issued an online statement informing that BetDuck has been sold to Irish billionaire and the financier and horse racing magnate of Dermot Desmond. Based in Alderney, BetDuck established itself as the main rival to the well-known exchange of Betfair, and had been acquired in 2013 by Ladbrokes PLC for £30 million, a deal which saw Desmond becoming a shareholder at the operator. So for sure, the shares have not been sold for less than £30 million. So there's always something going on in the M&A space, but heading over to Karolina, are there any other targets which you see as one of the upcoming M&A deals already?
I do, but maybe I don't want to point them out like that in this session. I'm surprised Yggdrasil hasn't been bought as a whole just yet. They have a very interesting business. I think that there has been a major investment from someone, I don't recall, opening the door for them to the US. But I'm surprised they haven't been bought as a whole. They have a very diversified business and in both with strong presence in regulated markets and both third-party content and first-party. So I would expect that's going to happen at some time. Push Gaming is there, of course, but Push Gaming has just invested in their own platform, and not sure what their ambitions for being acquired are. And there's a couple of other live dealer studios, smaller live dealer studios that are definitely being vetted, and there is interest from the industry around it. So I would bet on the next acquisition being another live dealer from someone big in the US. And then just, on another note, I wanted to see maybe Lisbeth could share her views, because I saw yesterday that Harrison Hagan posted a blog with their thoughts from the consultation around UK Gaming Commission, work that's being done in conjunction with the Gambling Act review. And I think a lot of, so far, the conclusions from the consultation is around changing the licensing process and putting in place some kind of measures that would help to regulate those kind of products like Football Index. I think it's following the collapse of Football Index and the role that UKGC played with it, or rather not played with it in it. But I don't know if you've maybe are more up to date with those findings and would like to give an opinion, or is that not something that you've been following?
Yeah. Thanks, Karolina. I have been following, but I'm not sure at this moment I can like say much more than what you say. But what I can do is like look a bit more into it, and then next week I give you guys a short overview.
Okay, sounds good. Right, so we are, at 9:30, and my kid just came here to sing, I guess. So sorry for the background noise. Sorry. This is a short session today, I think, because we have very few of us here, and it seems that people are more on an autopilot listening to more of the session, but we just don't have that many other news to share, and there isn't many people to facilitate a conversation around. So unless you guys have some casual subjects to just chit chat around, I don't have much to add this week, I'm afraid.
All good. So then I just have one more topic which I'd like to share, is that Malta is about to triple the tax exposure for their domicile tier 1 operators. So the grey listed state of or country of Malta, they are about to set and to introduce a new corporate tax rate in 2023. According to the Times of Malta, which had been distributed, or the news which is flying around since yesterday, I guess. So this would apply, first of all, quoting government sources, the outlet stated that between 18 and 20 foreign companies pay up to 3 times as much tax as they currently do, with tax exposure set to increase from 5% to 15%. So only companies with an annual revenue of 700 only companies with an annual revenue exceeding 750 million or more will be affected by the tax hike. So touching down on the overall numbers, which especially applies to Malta as a country, because on the online gambling accounts are responsible for 12% of the island's GDP, generating 700 million in revenues and employing 9,000 people. So the question is, if any of the bigger operators who as of now are participating from a tax exposure of 5% might shift people to actually other jurisdictions as well. And I just want to put this out for discussion. If I'm not mistaken, Lisbeth, you are located in Malta. Have you been, or has any rumors already flying around with companies specifically eyeing to shift people away from Malta?
Not that I've heard. Not that I've heard it. We have here like an industry group, and they have commissioned and researches around this with KPMG, what kind of effects it will have. But yeah, of course, the 5 to 15% increase that's going to change maybe for companies in their strategy, why they would be located in Malta, or maybe they could now more diversify their offices around Europe. I think we've talked about this before, over the time of the pandemic now, a lot of people have been moving to remote working, to maybe they went back to their country because it's more convenient, and we've seen a bit of an outflux. So people think like this comes back, but this is not going to really maybe help that. And of course, the grey listing, which they need to work on now, it's now in a state that there has been advice of the ATF, and they need to follow that up until they get the right measures in place, and it will be satisfactory by the Commission. They won't get back out of the grey list. And of course, this is something that Malta really wants, because it negatively affects things like banking, doing business, attracting new businesses. So yeah, there they don't really have a choice. I guess they need to follow up the advice to improve and get out of the grey listing. And the overall, I think the OECD has also been putting pressure. It's also more of a EU focus to have a minimum 15%. But it's a good question, and I see the companies in Malta, they have their offices. It's pretty stable. It won't disappear, but it might be a reason to look at other countries. It is more difficult nowadays to recruit people to Malta, since the rental prices have increased massively, and cost of living and other things. And maybe places like where Katie lives, like south of Spain, can be very attractive, since that's a country that's regulated now as well.
Yeah, I think, like you say, a lot of people are talking about relocating, and me myself, having lived 8 years in Malta, and I've bought property there and sold property there, it's just like a hassle with banking and everything, even before the grey listing. So for me, having left Malta, and I can still keep an eye on Malta, but it's just like thing after thing that I think shows the operators that there's no reason to actually stay in Malta. Like with the grey listing, now the tax, like it's just a thing over thing over thing. So yeah, personally, I'm worried about, operators who recently moved from Gibraltar to Malta and then getting the grey listing and now the tax on that. So, and I think that's Best 365 and what else? You probably know, Lisbeth. I'm not sure.
But, I'm not 100% sure, because I know Bet365 was supposed to come here, and they commissioned like a brand new building to be built, but I haven't seen that taken really off. So I think they just have like a small office now, and then they went back to keeping people in JIP, because
No,
possible.
I've seen their post. I think a week ago there was someone senior up posting Bet365 sign going onto the building in Tinje. So I don't think they would be communicating the opening of a new building if they were not going to open that office.
All right. I'm not really sure whether.
There's still more operators, because there was a lot of operators that moved from Gibraltar. So that must be a hard hit for them now. If this news came, yes, I don't know how much they earn. If it's like they go over this threshold, so it goes from 5 to 15. But I don't know how Betsson is gonna do. They're probably there. There's a lot of big operators in Malta. It's the hub of iGaming, so it will affect a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we have any other Maltese-focused people here in the audience, but I see us also like more offices and companies opening more in East Europe. A lot of more tech-related roles, like at Aspire itself, we have our B2Bet office in Macedonia, and in Ukraine we have an office, and that works really well. And yeah, I think a couple of years ago, Malta was the main office, and now it's spreading out already naturally. So I don't think the industry will leave Malta completely, but it might diversify to other countries. Maybe Netherlands, now it's opening, will be an interesting location. Their tax climate is quite interesting, and maybe Ireland. There are already some gaming companies.
So I think with Malta is, it's difficult to attract and retain talent, especially the more senior they get. It's easy to attract young people who want to come there and work in CS and junior marketing roles, CRM, entry positions into the industry, and stay there. And I guess maybe there is a percentage of sort of older demographic with kids that find this a nice break from the cold Nordic countries or rainy UK, with good schools and so on. But increasingly, what I'm hearing from people is the great times of Malta, even though it's developing now. And for example, for me, Valletta is now 10 times more amazing than it was when I lived there 5 years ago. But I think a lot of people just want to live in a place that is not shut off from easy travel into Europe, especially in COVID, where it just takes one airline to suspend flights and then you're stuck, and there's no other way to get out of there and see your family or get back in. And I think it's the property prices that are discouraging people from seeing this as a sustainable destination where they want to settle, because it's just, I mean, it's so difficult to get on a property ladder in Malta right now. The prices are crazy inflated and totally not worth what the asking price when it comes to quality or furnishings or stuff like that. So yeah, I do think that Malta has maybe is past its heyday, and when it comes to amazing iGaming destination, and there seems to be way more interest in Spain and as you said, Netherlands, and all other kind of destinations as well. US.
Yeah, I think so too. What do you think, Nico? You have more information about this topic?
Yeah, for sure. If Malta will have to adjust their tax rate, coming from the 5%, which had been very, very attractive, and that's why a lot of operators actually settled down in Malta. And as soon as the UK, due to Brexit, left the European Union, especially Bet365, they literally shifted people from JIP over. And if I'm not mistaken, they bought land for roughly 10 million euros. So as soon as this kind of edge with the lower tax rate will be gone, a movement will start. But as of now, I don't see any other jurisdiction or country specifically eyeing for the gaming industry, but for sure one or two will come up with a solution to actually host the gaming industry, and then we will see a movement, or probably a movement away from Malta as well.
I'm wondering if there's going to be a lot of big operators moving to Cyprus, because apparently there's like a change there for online companies in Cyprus to get like a 2% tax or something. Like, or I'm not sure, but I've heard this. So I'm eyeing Cyprus right now, and yeah, let's see.
At some point, I think it's just going to become unsustainable for companies to just keep moving between countries for taxes that are not regulated from any central body. Those gaming hubs also not sustainable for long term, because there are countries complaining over certain countries just giving more favorable tax rate to attract investment, and why is that even possible? But again, I'm maybe not the best person to talk about it. Guys, I think we can start wrapping up. I actually have to jump the call. We have a very small group today, so I think it's fair if we shorten the session by 15 minutes. I'm still glad we did it and discuss a couple of things. If you feel like staying on, please feel free to do so. I will just switch off my sound, but I need to get ready for the meeting. And I'm hoping next week, once everybody's back from events, I mean, there's WGS next week, so it can be a little bit more quiet, but I'm sure there's going to be more people that are at least not in a different time zone and asleep right now. So I would just say, if nothing else to add, I leave it to you. Over to you.
I'm going to leave too. Thank you, guys. Have a great week. We'll speak next week, hopefully. And have a great time in Barcelona for anyone who's going.
Okay, so I will be in Barcelona. So whoever wants to meet live and in person, just shout a message or shoot a message. And then I'm pretty sure we will just have a decent time at WGS. Thanks, Karolina, for setting up the room. And have a great day to each and everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Yes.